our lives, society has constantly warned us about strangers. Starting from a very young age, we are told, don't accept candy from strangers, don't talk to strangers, and don't accept rides from strangers. As we grow older, we are still warned against going places alone and meeting people online, as well as trusting people we've never met. We are advised to always lock our doors, keep our belongings with us at all times, and never to answer the door when it's someone we don't know. The underlying message throughout all of our life is that strangers equal danger. Despite these frequent warnings, social media has found a way to glamorize strangers and make it socially acceptable to interact with them without the fear of consequence. Disguised under the pretense of becoming more cultured, adolescents and young adults have become more willing to connect and interact with strangers through social media. On Instagram, strangers now appear as enticing, pretty, and polished. They attract us because their lives allude to something better, something we now want to strive to attain. These strangers may not pose the same type of threats as the cliché stereotypical stranger, yet these strangers pose a threat whose magnitude has yet to be evaluated. In my paper, I'm focusing on the average adolescent and young adult Instagram user, ages 13 to 35. I'm examining the demographic of people these users follow, and how the more strangers follow can lead to a stronger presence of lifestyle envy due to the fact that these users are only seeing snippets of these strangers' lives. In addition, I will discuss how Instagram offers the first quantifiable way to determine self-worth and popularity. Throughout my paper and this presentation, I am using the term stranger to refer to a person with whom one has no personal acquaintance. Unlike the traditional sense of the word, my use of the word stranger can include people you may have met before. For example, a classmate from high school with whom you're still considered friends but haven't spoken to for an extended period of time. Or people from your childhood who you may have been close with but aren't anymore. Strangers consist of everyone aside from current close friends and family. Instagram is a social media app that was established in 2010. It allows users to scroll through a feed of photos from users they follow, where they can double tap on a post to give it a like. Instagram also allows users to follow friends and strangers, including celebrities. In my paper, I will also be discussing lifestyle envy, which is the jealousy, envy, or resentment any individual feels toward another or the way in which they live. It's the feeling we get when we're jealous or resentful of someone who has something we want, but we can't have. Throughout my paper, I will be discussing lifestyle envy and where it came from and what it means in today's world of social media, specifically Instagram. Then I will conduct a deeper analysis of Instagram by discussing my own findings as well as research that has been published on the subject. In 1954, a social psychologist, Leon Festinger, proposed his social comparison theory. It stated the belief that individuals are driven to gain accurate self-evaluations. The theory goes on to explain how individuals evaluate their own opinions and abilities by comparing themselves to others. This helps them to reduce uncertainty and become more self-assured by being able to define their self-worth. It has always been human nature to compare ourselves to others. Unlike today, if adolescents and young adults wanted to seek out the trends and opinions of others, they would need to go outside, for example, school. Now with the existence of social media, without even leaving the house, adolescents and young adults are exposed and can compare themselves to thousands of others. In addition, it is now not only people from the same community you can compare yourself to, but instead celebrities and athletes as well. Social comparison does not only have negative repercussions. In theory, it is a positive thing. By being able to compare ourselves to others, we learn our place in the world and develop a sense of maturity. That was prior to social media, because now, with more exposure to social comparison, the effects are more negative than positive. In the book called The App Generation, How Today's Youth Navigate Identity, Intimacy, and Imagination in a Digital World, the authors, Howard Gardner and Katie Davis, discuss how in a world where social media has captivated the attention of the public, individuals are responsible for maintaining two identities, one for the people they deal with in person on a daily basis, and another for the audience they reach throughout their various social media apps. Gardner and Davis state that the identities of young people on social media are developed and put forth so that they convey a certain desirable, indeed determinedly upbeat, image of the person in question. They go on to say that considerable evidence shows that youth take care to present a socially desirable, polished self online. This is reflected by what is seen on Instagram. Because users are only allowed to post a photo or video, there's a lot of effort and time taken to make sure that the photos look professional and polished. In addition, now that we know people are doing their best to only present a polished version of themselves, we recognize that the photos we see are not an accurate description of a person's life. Even if users were to post pictures of something intimate about their life with no filters, they are still hand-selecting what information they choose to share with their audience. Therefore, it is not the true representation of their lives. We are only sharing what we are comfortable with people knowing, whereas in real life we share ourselves as a whole and people judge what they want. Users who now maintain two identities experience social comparison existing twice as much as before. In the past, social comparison would only occur when others were around, but now it can happen 24/7. There is no break, and yet, even before social media existed, there were dangers of social comparison and lifestyle envy, such as low self-esteem and, more seriously, depression. Now take the fact that Instagram users are being exposed to twice as much social comparison. It is only logical that the severity of the effects would increase as well. Upon conducting some first-hand research of Instagram, I have found that Instagram users follow more strangers than friends. A typical person has at least 10 to 15 close friends with whom they have shared personal information with and have insights into their lives, but average Instagram users follow at least 100 people. In addition, while examining strangers' profiles objectively, there is no way to formulate an entire picture of their lives. We see only bits and pieces of what they choose to share. And while we can create some type of an understanding of their life, it is unlikely that we will ever truly understand them as a whole. Therefore, when we compare ourselves to others, we are seeking to achieve something unrealistic, something unachievable, because that person we are seeing on Instagram does not exist. They are only a carefully selected part of a whole. In the article Instagram #InstaSad, exploring associations among Instagram use, depressive symptoms, negative social comparison, and strangers followed, the authors Katarina Loop, Leora Trubb, and Lisa Rosenthal conducted a study to research the associations between depression, social comparison, and strangers followed on Instagram. Now the interesting thing is, why Instagram? Why not Facebook or Twitter? And the answer to that is Facebook has already been associated with social overload, low self-esteem, loneliness, and depression from previous studies. And from previous research, we are able to identify that it was the passive use of Facebook that induced these feelings of low self-esteem and depression. Passive use is classified as browsing others' profiles without posting new material. For example, looking at photos or updates of what people are doing and with whom. Looking at these photos trigger resentment, envy, and jealousy, all of which are key factors present in lifestyle envy. Now, research also showed that people who tended to look at their own profile or use Facebook to message others didn't experience these feelings as strongly. Therefore, when looking at Instagram, a social media app based solely off the passive uses of Facebook, the assumption will be that the same feelings of resentment, envy, and jealousy leading to low self-esteem and depression will exist. This is because of the image-driven nature of Instagram and how it encourages the presentation of only the most positive and polished characterizations of one's life. Connecting with other users on Facebook is reciprocal. When you become friends with someone, you both receive updates on each other. On the other hand, following someone on Instagram may only go in one direction. This feature contributes to the popularity of following celebrities with public profiles or even strangers who have popular Instagram accounts. According to the authors, the attribution theory, which highlights people's tendency to attribute others' behaviors to dispositional rather than situational factors, would suggest that browsing the enhanced photos of celebrities or strangers may trigger assumptions that these photos are indicative of how these people actually live. These conclusions make people more vulnerable to judging themselves in relation to the unrealistic life of others, creating this lifestyle envy which leads to feelings of distress. The authors conducted a study to quantify their hypotheses. The previously mentioned definition of stranger was used for this study. So the participants were measured by self-reported Instagram use, number of strangers followed, degree of social comparison felt, and the extent of depressive symptoms experienced. The study results found that the people who followed the most strangers and spent the most time on Instagram were most at risk to experience low self-esteem and depressive symptoms. This being because those who follow less strangers see photos of their friends, and because they know how these people actually live, are less likely to react negatively to seeing their photos. A point that was not researched but I feel carries a lot of weight is the fact that Instagram offers a quantifiable way for users to compare themselves to others. When you compare the number of likes on your photos to the number of likes on photos of people you follow, it fosters a strong sense of resentment if your likes are significantly lower than theirs. This can lead to the questioning such as, why did their photo receive more likes? Are they more popular? Are they better looking? Seeing a number that represents how much people like you is a cold, hard fact. It can't be changed. Because of this, Instagram fosters a community of users who will never be satisfied. Instagram allows users to create a perfect image of themselves to share with others. Those on the receiving end are presented with these fake images of perfection, which result in lifestyle envy and users trying to obtain an equally perfect life that doesn't truly exist. Lifestyle envy can have serious consequences, some of which include low self-esteem and depression. In a technology-driven world, it is unrealistic to expect people to be okay with giving up their smartphones and social media sites, but it is important that we are aware of this new danger that Instagram presents. Never before have we been able to see our self-worth quantified by numbers, and the repercussions are still to come. Awareness is the next step that needs to be taken. Similar to how we were warned about the dangers of strangers in the past, we need to educate ourselves about Instagram, the new stranger danger that is becoming a part of our future.